So I'd like to rant about more of it. And yeah, I'd like to say, now of course, this video is just going to be a really short rant about just a few tiny, small, insignificant things. Really. And by insignificant, I mean pet peeve. Peeves, I mean, yeah, really, it's just a pet peeve, though. I mean, some of this stuff just really makes me mad. It's like really like someone's like, you know, I'm not, yeah, no. Of course, the first thing that I'd like to talk about here is, you know, everyone's fave anti-like beggars. They're anti-like beggars. Oh, come on. Nope. Now, of course, I'm not referring to the particular flag here. I just want to refer to a general flag here. Mainly because it's kind of hard to find a good generalized picture when everyone's talking ridiculous. And what? The main reason why I get mad whenever it's someone like this is because they're almost always mixing up every little thing. Now, of course, this starts when, you know, so people, and it's like a few anti-like, they can't tell when to use context. They just don't know how. Like, so here's our context here. Here's one context, here's another. This one's kind of more of a general one for, like, if it's, like, people who don't know, look down and below for explanations if you're too lazy. They are not, or never will be, able to tell the difference between these two in context. Never. That is what makes me mad. That is just what makes me mad. Like, how about you learn what signs are different and which ones are not before actually paying attention to anything? How about that? Like, it just makes me very mad. Like, very mad. Like, if you can't understand the difference between two things, then you shouldn't be commenting on it. You shouldn't be commenting on it at all, because you are in no way correct to talk about it. I myself am not fine with people just outright, like, begging for it, because that's ridiculous. Don't beg. That's stupid. Don't beg. But I also don't like it when people who are anti-like beggars decide that they can't understand the difference between two different signs and different contexts. Which just shows you how well and truly lazy they are. Because a lot of the times it's just them seeing that symbol and seeing that it's pointed to it, and then assuming no further than that they're begging, without even checking for the context. Without a single bit of thought. It's just no. Like, please think about it. Please think about it. Man. And a lot of times there'll be, like, people who did nothing wrong, just using the symbol, have been on the platform for a while. And these dudes are just outright say that he's full-on like begging, even though that symbol is even. And what's funny is that the symbol that I'm talking about is barely used in like begging, anyways, because it's obvious how you'd have to put it at the start in the first place. And second of all, it's like gambling, as you don't know if YouTube will actually move it or anything, and so it might not even be above it. But they just assume. It's just no. No. It makes me annoyed whenever people like it act like that. it just really bugs me whenever they just don't pay attention to a single sign. And yet again, there is a bunch of ways that this can be interpreted as well. Because it ain't just this community; it's any community in general that can forget how to use context and cause problems. Like, for example, there was these people who were just saying mass report on a heat post because, of course, it's bad, but all of them weren't actually describing why to report it. Only one of them just said report it for the content. And even then, it's like loose, as it's just like, do it to false report. There is no explanation on why you should do it. No actual. And if someone has already made you mad, that pretty much makes it harder for anyone to understand if anything is going on. Plus, there are people who may just be commenting and making sure, like, for example, maybe some person who, say, hates the current situation with the robots and are currently trying to remove them off of comments, seeing that, and without checking the video, and plus, it kind of gets worse whenever you get to a video on a Pacific Sound that's mostly overran by heat with the same style, but it's not the same thing. Because that is when, well and truly, that you have a hard time understanding. And that's how you pretty much cause a major issue. I mean, SVR was the one that I'm really talking about. If anyone from SVR can actually listening to this video at all, please make sure in the future to actually elaborate on what you're reporting things for. Because, you know, people might not understand and might misinterpret it. And that's how you get people getting mad at you for false reporting something. Which, you know, does actually make you look like a very bad person. Plus the current issue with the YouTube already, considering all the chaos. So maybe you should think about actually trying to give context and not just blindly going with it. Because that's a good way to make people confused. That is a very good way. I also like to know that I'm pretty sure one of these members who are supporting is just outright rude in general. It's not from the SRVR, it's from someone else who's just not in any way related. I mean, context can mean a lot of things. And if you end up giving out the context in the wrong way, you end up kind of going in the wrong direction entirely. Of course. And second of all, I'm going to outright lose my stupid, freaking, hostile, freaking architecture. Man, oh man, whoever thought of this was a very dumb person who does not deserve an architecture degree in the first place. Like, just by the name, you can tell that something's wrong with it. And you know, that it's something that's like, oh, and trust me, the fact that it's called architecture not only makes a bunch of engineers have I get bragging rights, and I'm but also, it's just downright stupid. So, our hostile architecture is because it's like architecture hostile to specifically homeless people, except for the fact that you kind of forget that it's really impossible to, but, I mean, really it's just dumb in general. Like, do you not understand the issue here? Just because they're homeless doesn't mean they're not people. Wow! The fact of how the person who was probably designing this in the first place probably didn't understand the meaning of the fact of how they're a people and not dogs probably conveys on how stupid it is. It is literally the literal poster child for just ignoring the problem and and pretending to do a solution. That is literally it is just literally the poster child for ignoring the actual solution and instead doing something wrong to say that you're doing the right thing. Because of course it doesn't do anything to solve homelessness. Maybe instead of wasting the stupid money on building stuff that is practically never going to be used in the first place because no one wants to use it. It is just... But secondly, it's not even solving the problem in the first place. Why not just spend it on actual building homeless shelters and actually solving the problem instead of ignoring it like an idiot? And it's just dumb in general, because really, you can't think of other people. It's just, why do you want to have architecture that just don't be used? I wouldn't be surprised if in a city that people would be that these things would be vandalized pretty fast. I wouldn't be surprised a bit. Because man is just easy to target, especially when no one's gonna care. Who could care little at all? Because it's not like it's gonna be used. Because for heaven's sakes, X is just a dumb design in general. Whoever thought of it was just not thinking right, was probably on something. It's just ridiculous. Who thought of this? Like, who thought of this? Who thought of this? I am now confused of who thought of this architecture. Who? I mean, look at this. Anyone who's trying to look at this rationally is someone who was fighting a losing cause. There is nothing rational about making things purposely stupid. Nothing. Because all it's doing is just causing more problems. Like, God, you're trying to think of homelessness, but meanwhile you're also accidentally causing problems for pregnant people, people in wheelchairs, people with disabilities. God, screw the. I mean, look. See? Yeah, it's just stupid. Like, who designed these? Just look at this. Look at this. What the crap? That is a bench. You can't call that a bench. That is a pile of freaking wood. That is a pile of wood. What even is that? A mountain? A mountain? Vancouver is awesome. Excuse me. Awesome. How? Really, dude, don't design a bench like that. You're asking for the bench to be torn down. You're asking for said bench to be torn down immediately by people not wanting this stupid excuse of a bench made to discourage homeless people. That doesn't work. And this is trying to fix it, but God, why are you trying to fix it? It's not like it's still pointless either way, because it's still not solving the root issue. Like, seriously? God, who would design this? What was the architect's most? I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that the architect was under the influence. You cannot tell me otherwise. That is just dumb. Yes, LinkedIn. Designing for my lifestyle architecture benefits businesses. I'm sorry, how does that benefit a business? How does that excuse for a bench, that pathetic excuse for a bench, and that even more pathetic design of a underbridge that is more than likely going to cause someone to die in the next year? Help businesses. If anything I showed you does not show that the person who designed hostile architecture deserves, and I mean absolutely deserves hate. Like, the person who thought of it deserves it. Like, it's just terrible. Who designed stuff like this? Who wants to design purposely terrible architecture? Like, God, that just seems like a stupid idea. Who designed this? I gotta go before I lose my mind. Bye.